All right. Well, let's move on to our discussion segment, which is Reddit stories and Facebook posts. So this is one of my favorite things to do, which is read something and then immediately judge it and give an opinion on it.
This is why we're doing this, Jared.
I like snap reactions.
This is your bread and butter, bro.
I thoroughly enjoy snap reactions. Yeah.
I'm excited about this. So we had actually talked about this.
Nope, we didn't.
Oh, well, fine.
I'm kidding. We did. I just want to make it seem like we didn't.
So we talked about this. I don't know, last month sometime, and we're just like, that'd be kind of fun, like just to talk about people's trips or questions they have or situations they got into and that aren't our own, obviously, and just kind of, like you said, judge them at face value.
Harshly. Or not, I don't know.
We're doing two today. One is pulled from a Facebook group. I'm not going to say which one, and another one is pulled from the Reddit thread Walt Disney World. So, yeah.
Okay. You want me to read these, or do you want to read them?
Do you how about I read them, because you speak a lot about your feelings in your opinions.
I feel like I'm being judged by my own wife.
Yes, I am judging you, and I'm judging these people.
Judgments. Let's be honest, everybody. Yeah. Everybody makes judgments, okay? Let's not act like we don't. Okay.
So obviously, I'm going to keep these anonymous. I'm not going to say who it's from on these Facebook posts or Reddit. But here is the first one from
It was me.
Here's the first one from Facebook. It says, I feel like I'm in way over my head with this trip, and honestly, I'm having deep regret. It was a spur of the moment booking, and now we're off site and attending the park on 3 of the busiest days ever, December 20th through 23rd.
Oof.
Staying off site, we won't have access to the 7+ day planning with the lightning lanes. So with 3 days and early closure of Magic Kingdom on one of the days, how much are we going to get done? I'm really wanting to enjoy rides and have my 5-year-old do everything he's tall enough for, 45 inches tall, which is most rides. I'm a Disney World rookie, although I've been twice, once as a child and once not as a mom, so I didn't care much, and have been reading countless hours of advice in this group. Am I just wasting our time, money, and energy for these dates? What do you think?
Well, I think if you've never been, or it's been a while, if you're like a rookie in terms of how it is now, and you chose December 20th to 23rd, that is basically like jumping into the deep end of the pool, and maybe you don't know how to swim. Like, it's just, you're jumping
life jacket
right into the thick of it. So it's not that you can't go and enjoy yourself. A lot of with Disney and in any trip, it just comes down to your expectations. So if you're wanting to ride everything your 5-year-old can ride, you're not going to be able to do that. More than likely.
Yeah.
I mean, you're at least at the expectation being, I would tier what you like. What rides do you want to ride? What are your must do's? What are the ones you would like to get to? I tell people this all the time. Like, have, if anything, in your head of like, here's the must do's we have to have. Here are the things that we would like to do.
Yeah.
But you can be a little flexible in your trip. But this is also the problem that goes in with Disney, is it's so difficult it's not a park or a place you can just pop into and be like, oh, let's go check it out. Because if you do that, more than likely, I mean, you can find pockets where it's just not very crowded. You might get lucky. But for the most part, if it's busy, like, that can be a bad time because it's busy. You've got to deal with the crowds. You don't know how to navigate the lightning lanes. Or if you do get the lightning lane because you didn't get the 7-day window there, not much is available. Long lines. Like, there's just a lot of things that can lead you to having a bad time, especially if your expectations were, I remember how this was when I went even 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I would say wasting their time, money, and energy. I would say, personally speaking, I would advise go at a different time on the same, but like, it's going to be cheaper if you go to a different time too. It's most expensive during Christmas.
So I agree with what you said. I think that managing expectations is number one here. It looks like she said she's been reading countless hours of advice in this group. I think going outside of Facebook and actually looking at, watch some YouTube videos. I hear Jared's got good stuff going on over at Capture the Magic or Cap the Magic.
To be fair, on that channel, I do not go into like tips for the parks.
That was just my silly way.
I know.
Okay.
I would say listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
But, obviously,
right.
I'll send her a letter. But yeah.
I would say listen up on podcasts, watch like vlogs. You can watch like POVs of the rides. There's so much content out there about strategies of how to navigate the parks when they're busy. So even though you can't do the 7-day ahead of time planning like with being an on-site guest because you're off-site, you can still utilize those the days, basically the 3 days that you have. You can plan as much as you can, especially like the beginning, the very early part of the day and the later part of the day. The middle part of the days are going to be just crazy busy. And as long as you know that, as long as you can compete, be like, okay, we're going to rope drop and we're going to be there at close with just like a break in the middle or something. That would be like my strategy probably. Especially if you're not going to get the rides you think you're going to get. You're going to have to do those at the beginning and end of the day. I mean, if you don't want to wait that long.
She said early closer of Magic Kingdom, which probably is going to be a party day. That can actually be a good time to go to Magic Kingdom because a lot of people won't go on party days.
I would say yes, that is a great point. Now that I think that the one she's talking about is the last party of the year, like of the season. So it'll still be busy.
I agreed. I'm just saying.
But you're right. That's
it'll probably be the least amount of crowds you would deal with in that time period at Magic Kingdom. I mean, Magic Kingdom will be the worst park to deal with.
Yeah.
And that's the park that is the most fitting for a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would say try and shows and stuff like that. Like it just comes down to expectations.
And like you were saying, like make a list of like what the big stuff that you want to do. Like, okay, let's give your son like a list of, how old is he, 5? Okay. Well, maybe, have him look at like, again, POV videos on YouTube or something of the rides and see like, okay, which ones do you want to do? You can have 3 that will, those will be our must do's. And if you get those 3 and you have time or you have, whatever, that's great. And then you get more done. But I think 3 or even maybe 4 or 5, I don't know what your number is, but like even that is a good strategy to stick with. Just get those like the main 3 done or main 4 done or whatever. And then everything else is just gravy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I also think unless you're just determined to go around Christmas, like
can you
move it to January, February, find a pocket in there where it's way less crowded. And you can, I mean,
I wonder if she's just set with those dates.
It could be. If you're flexible on the dates, like I would say I would move it because it'll be cheaper. You'll have to deal with less crowds and you can get more stuff done.
Yeah.
That's what I would probably say, unless you have to go during that time.
Right. And then, now in the future, like if you're going to go back and do this again, now to plan farther ahead and try maybe staying on site because it's a little bit easier, especially with small children. But obviously it's very doable to do this trip. It's just manage expectations.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's
and strategize.
Yeah.
Strategize.
Yeah.
So that's our advice.
Agreed.
All right. So the second one we're going to read is from Reddit. And I'm going to change a word that they use frequently in these little in these Reddit threads. Am I the jerk for going to Disney over a funeral?
Oh, man. Buckle in.
Buckle in. All right.
I love these. Am I the jerk?
It's going to be jerk. I'm going to say jerk.
Usually they go, am I the jerk? Yeah. Usually you are.
Yeah, you probably are. All right. So am I the jerk for going to a funeral or to Disney over a funeral? Okay. Some friends and I have been planning a Disney day for months and purchased tickets as of September this year. Some of the friends have been out of state for school, and overall, we haven't met up in a while. A relative of my mother has passed away, and the funeral burial service is the same day as the trip. There will be a memorial service the day before, and I plan on attending the service. I may not have been close with the relative, but it'll be a shame on you moment if my relatives were to hear of my Disney day. Disney has a strict no refund policy for tickets, but my sister believes I'm in the wrong for still planning on going. But my friend, not part of the trip, says it's not as bad as it seems considering it wasn't planned. It was already planned deliberately on the date. I know passing away isn't something you can plan out. So am I the jerk for still going on the trip?
A relative of your mother.
Yeah. So is it your relative too?
Right. I mean, I would assume that might mean an aunt.
Maybe great aunt or something.
Yeah,
Um,
it would depend on how close. You know what I mean? Like if you're not very close to this person,
mhm.
like if you're,
It's tricky.
I don't think. Okay, in this situation, I actually don't think you're a jerk if you go, because if you are going to go to the memorial service but just not the burial, I mean, I don't think that's terrible to
right.
choose to do that, to be quite honest. And especially given
Right.
like there's no refund policy, and no, it's obviously a totally different scenario if it's like it's your mom or your dad or your brother, like somebody very, very close. But given it's like a relative that you weren't really close with, you haven't spoken to in a while, like, it's still family. You're
Yeah.
still making a presence to go. I don't necessarily think you're the jerk in this scenario.
Right.
So
Well,
yeah, shockingly enough, I go against what I normally say. I don't necessarily think they're being the jerk here. Now, I don't think I would post on social media about going.
probably
Maybe don't
not.
tell people you're going. Like if your sister's against it, just I guess she could know. But I personally wouldn't make a big like, oh, here's my Disney day, like on social media. I would just keep quiet about it.
Someone said, depends on who the relative is. You should talk to your mother and ask for her opinion. Funerals are the time to say goodbye to a loved one and support those who have suffered a loss. Some people feel very strongly about family and friends being there to honor the life of a person who has passed. Some people understand that life continues for other people and not everyone will be able to be there. So I think that's your first step, is figure out like, okay, how is it important for your mother for you to be there? Like, does she need your support during this funeral? Because she did say she's going to the service,
Right,
the
like
day
she's still
before.
making a presence to
So
go.
she will be there, but just not the funeral. And not, I mean, not everybody can make funerals. Like people,
Right.
there's always stuff going on. I think she's just wanting to know if like if she's gonna feel really guilty for going to Disney during this. It's tricky depending on how close you are to the relative, I guess.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to just like be open and communicate about it. Probably not
Yeah.
a bad idea. And if it's going to cause
Yeah.
a huge riff or the last thing you want is like a bunch of family drama and stuff like that. So if it's going to cause like a giant issue with your family, like you're going to be dealing with for months and years later, like I don't think it'd probably be worth it for that. I would just bite I would just, eat the cost of it or something like that. And sometimes if you call Disney, they can do things for you if you're nice and tell them your circumstance. Like there's a potential chance that they could be understanding about it. Yeah. I mean, I think if you did go, and if you're going to go to the memorial site, I don't necessarily think that's like a horrible thing to do.
I mean, I think it's because it's a like vacation thing.
Right.
I think if she had said, oh, I have a work function I have to be at, no one would bat an eye.
Right.
I think it's because this is something fun that she's doing. She's like, well, she's having fun while we're over here at the burial.
Right.
Like kind of thing. And I don't know if that's what her family is like
Yeah.
saying or anything. But yeah, someone said here, what are you going to remember in 10, 20, 30 years? Will you remember the day with your friends, or will you remember missing the funeral? If you're not that close to the relative and you plan to give your respects at the memorial, I think it's perfectly fine to go to Disney. You just don't post a ton of pictures and rub it in their faces. If you were really close to the relative and you'll regret not being there, then go to the funeral.
Yeah.
That's simply said.
I agree. I
Yeah.
mean, the only thing I would add, again, if it's going to cause a giant rift, like I don't think it would be worth it then, just because that family drama it's bad enough if it's going to be something detrimental on that end of things. But
yeah, I mean that's always that kind of hard stuff. But yeah. So I think not the jerk. I think go to Disney, and if your mom is cool with it,
I would. Yeah,
and if you're not close,
agreed.
So.
All right, we have one more we're gonna do here.
One more. All right, this is from the same Reddit thread. It says, "Am I the jerk for not wanting to go on a trip to Disney World with my family?" It says, I, 21 female, have a 2-year-old son with my fiance, 22 male, and his grandparents are really pushing a trip to Disney World this year or next year. Here's a few issues as to why I think it's a bad idea. They told us we need to save at least $2,000 for the trip. Well, what they don't realize is we are 2 young adults trying to live in this world today, and it's hard, and that $2K is not really in the budget. Not only that, I really do think it's a waste of money to go when our son won't remember it. I feel waiting till he's older is so much smarter. When we picked out a hotel, picking the cheapest, it got shut down because there was a terrible view from the rooms. We don't really care about the view. We will only be using the room to sleep. But the main reason I don't want to go is because everyone wants to fly. I have only flown in a plane once and I hated it. And honestly, the thought of bringing my son on a plane is very nerve-wracking because I know for a fact I will be stuck with the crying and screaming on the plane because my fiance gets impatient very quickly and I'm not good in public situations. Public embarrassment is the literal worst for me. When we brought this to their attention, my fiance blurts out, well, she doesn't want to fly. And that really hurt my feelings because I wish he would have had me back and taken my feelings into consideration with this. I cannot help the fact I'm scared of flying, and now I'm worried I will be blamed for the trip getting canceled. Am I the jerk?
Well, I mean,
there's a lot of issues.
Your fiance could be a little bit more like I feel like as a husband, not that I have everything right, but we've been married for.
You do everything right, Jared.
That's true. I do everything right.
Where's your trophy? Where's your trophy and your gold star?
I keep it back here behind me.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think you take into consideration, even if you don't fully understand it, although I guess they're not married. So I was like, especially in our situation, like you're my wife, so I'm going to take your side and stick up for you and say, even if I don't understand it, just be like, hey, we're not comfortable doing it that way for, they don't have to know the details. Now, when it comes down to the cost, like, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it.
Right.
Like a vacation is an extra thing that you do. And if it's going to put you in a financial bind, then no.
Right.
Like, and if people don't understand that, then that's on them.
Sure.
Especially if they're the ones proposing the trip and like you're feeling pressured to go. You're not going to have fun on a trip. I've said before, it's like if you can't afford to go and you're out there spending money, every time you're doing something, you're just going to be worried. So maybe I would say, hey, why? And especially if they don't want to take their son when he's real little. Now, I would argue you can still, like, your son may not remember it, but you'll have great memories with your kids. Like, we have tons of memories with our kids when they were really little at the parks and stuff. But, be like, hey, we can't afford it right now. And if they don't understand that, first off, that's on them. But second, be like, hey, why don't we plan this out for a couple of years from now? And then you can have time to save up for it.
Yeah.
And something like that. So I think, I mean, although I'm one of the people, the way I'm wired is like, if you get offended by my logic and reasoning, when I have in my eyes a valid logic and reasoning, that's on you, not on me.
Right.
So I wouldn't lose sleep over personally. Now, I know you're wired a little bit different than me, although you've taken on a little bit of my stances over the years, I think. But that's just how I would say it. I'd be like, if it's going to be bad for your family, like when you're a family, you take care of your family unit first.
Yes.
So just because the grandparents want to do something, that's great. Now, if they wanted to pay for the whole thing, that's a different conversation. But you take care of your family unit first. If it doesn't work for your unit, then you don't do it.
Exactly. I mean, like if they're pressuring you to do this and they're like, if we got to plan this, we got to do this, just if you don't want to go, just be like, we can't go this time. Thanks for thinking of us, but maybe in the future.
Yeah. That's
really all that would need to be said. It should be at least. But your fiance needs to have your back more because, well, she doesn't want to fly. Be like, so that's the only reason. She just listed 10 reasons she didn't want to go, and that you picked that one because it was on her.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, there was no support there. But also too, if it's a matter of finances, say you can book up till the end of next year, and whenever they come up with the packages for 2026, you can even book even farther out from there. So start saving your money little by little, and then say hey, we can't go this year, but let's revisit it maybe in a year, and we can start saving some money and do that. Or if your grandparents really want you to take the trip and they're really pushing for it and they want this and this and they're very particular, they can pay for it.
Well, I was going to say, you could say that. I mean, it's also too, your grandparents, as you get older, they're not as around, they're going to be around forever.
The pressure though, I don't understand the pressure
agreed.
Of it.
That's where you just have to be like, listen, we love you guys. We want to go. We want to do something, but it just doesn't work for us right now in our our circumstance.
Right.
If they then say, hey, we can help out more, we'll pay for it, then that's different. And then if you're talking about the flying versus driving thing, I mean, that's, you can drive.
You can absolutely drive. We don't know where they live, obviously, but
it's not like there's a bulk discount on tickets for airlines anyways. So you could always do something a little bit different there. But I mean,
there's a lot of reasons to postpone this trip, and flying and driving finances, and your son will be older. Those are the main ones, I think.
Yeah. Again, I would.
So.
I'm the type of person. If you decide something that's best for your family, then that's just it.
Yep.
Like, and if they don't understand it, that's on them. And
For sure.
It's unfortunate if that happens, but at the same time, it's like I wouldn't advise putting yourself in a bad financial spot because you're trying to make people happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not the jerk, my lady.
Agreed. All right, is that all the Reddit stories we got?
That's all we're gonna do today.
Okay. I like
That's
that.
kind of fun.
That's fun.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, let us know if you guys enjoy those.
I like to harshly judge people I don't know on the internet.
Yeah. And I'm nice.
just kidding.
See, I'm nice. I think everybody was like, Jared's going to be a jerk about this.
No.
I'm only a jerk sometimes about things.
See, it's one of those things where you see something written out, like a whole thing, like most of these scenarios, or you're like, okay, you just need an outside perspective to tell you, like, here is what you should do. Because sometimes it's just, there's so many things going in your head. You're like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're in it and you've got all the emotions and you feel like sometimes, that's why I wouldn't advise personally going to Reddit for life advice. But, somebody else that can look at something from a different perspective is not a bad thing. It's just I wouldn't always take advice from everybody else around you all the time. I'm very selective on who I listen to about things. So
yeah.
But yeah, I think this could be fun. Yeah, let us know. Again, let us either in the Facebook group, Capture the Magic Community, or email us at hello@ctmshow. If you enjoy this, we can do more of these. Or if you have ones that you want us to do, you can send us the links to the stories or whatever, and we can always do them on the show. So
absolutely.
But yeah, I enjoyed that.
That was fun.
And you can kind of learn a little bit about, like, I'm sure some of these are like trip planning issues and stuff. So
that's too. You can also learn for sure.
Learn. So